You can officially smell the smoke before you see the fire because the empire Papoose tried to build on top of Remy Ma's name is running completely out of oxygen. I am telling you right now, the ultimate collapse has already begun, and it is getting nastier by the second. We have just reached the absolute breaking point where every single piece of this chaotic puzzle is finally snapping into place. The awkward red carpet footage, the sudden defensive rants, and the frantic damage control online make more sense than ever before. What we are witnessing right now is not just another standard celebrity internet scandal. This is a public execution of a brand in slow motion, and absolutely none of them can stop the bleeding. Word on the street is that Papoose has completely lost his cool and is officially going off on Remy Ma. He is lashing out because the fantasy spotlight he jumped into with Claressa Shields is completely falling apart at the seams. Are you ready to dive into the exact moment the fake family narrative shattered? Are you ready for the breakdown of the fall no one saw coming and the corporate nightmare they cannot escape? If you want to know exactly how Papoose's desperation turned into an all-out war while Claressa's empire crumbled, you are in the exact right place. Hit that subscribe button, drop this video a massive like, and stay completely locked in. The next chapter of this saga is going down right now. The luxury curtains have been pulled back, and the ugly truth underneath is finally being exposed to the world. To truly understand why Papoose is suddenly going off on Remy Ma, we have to look directly at the crumbling foundation of the situation he created for himself. For years, the public looked at Papoose and Remy Ma as the ultimate blueprint of loyalty in the music industry. He stood by her through a massive prison sentence, managed her career, and painted a picture of an unbreakable family bond. But the moment that bond fractured, Papoose did what a lot of men do when the spotlight fades. He went looking for a brand new stage to perform on. That stage just so happened to belong to Claressa Shields, a multi-time world champion boxer who was actively looking to expand her own corporate empire into mainstream entertainment. When Papoose first stepped into Claressa Shields' world, it was supposed to be a masterclass in power coupling. They traveled internationally, flooded the blogs with coordinated press releases, and tried to convince the public that they were building a modern dynasty. But you cannot build a permanent palace using the bricks of a broken home. The entire relationship was treated like a massive corporate rollout. There were whispers of reality television contracts, joint business ventures, and massive brand sponsorships that were all contingent on one specific thing. They needed the public to completely buy into the narrative that Papoose had effortlessly moved on from a rap legend to an elite athletic champion. The problem is that the public never truly bought the script, and the corporate investors are now pulling their money out of the project. Insiders are now confirming that the corporate empire Claressa Shields attempted to build with Papoose at her side is officially filed for bankruptcy in the court of public opinion. High-profile sponsors who initially lined up to fund her entertainment ventures are quietly backing out of their contracts. Television executives who were reviewing pitches for their alleged reality show have officially shelved the project permanently. Why? Because the drama surrounding Remy Ma is too toxic for mainstream brands to associate with. The narrative has completely shifted from an empowering love story to a messy, desperate attempt at keeping up appearances. As those corporate checks began to dry up, the tension behind closed doors between Papoose and Claressa started to reach a boiling point. Papoose is reportedly furious because he realizes he made the ultimate mistake in the celebrity playbook. He traded a historic, deeply rooted legacy with Remy Ma for a temporary corporate spotlight that is now burning out right in front of his eyes. According to reliable production sources, Papoose recently lost his temper during a closed-door meeting with corporate consultants. He realized that his attachment to Claressa is no longer elevating his brand. Instead, it is completely draining his credibility. He is now finding himself stuck in a situation where he is getting maximum backlash from hip-hop fans while receiving zero financial benefit from the sports entertainment world. This financial and reputational crisis is exactly what triggered Papoose to completely go off on Remy Ma in a series of frantic, behind-the-scenes communications. He is allegedly blaming Remy Ma for the collapse of his new empire, claiming that her strategic silence and her ongoing legal maneuvers are deliberately sabotaging his ability to make money. It is the classic behavior of a man who made a bad gamble and now wants to blame the house because he lost his shirt. He expected Remy Ma to engage in a loud, messy internet back and forth that would keep his name trending in the blogs for months. Instead, Remy Ma chose a path of absolute coldness, And that lack of attention is driving Papoose to the point of complete madness. The frustration became painfully obvious during recent public industry events where onlookers noted that the energy between Papoose and Claressa was completely dead. The smiles on the red carpet looked like plastic masks, and the physical distance between them spoke louder than any press release ever could. Insiders from Claressa's own training camp are whispering that she is growing tired of carrying the emotional baggage of a man who is clearly still obsessed with his ex-wife. She thought she was getting a seasoned music executive who could help her conquer Hollywood. Instead, she realized she ended up with a distracted partner whose entire identity is still tied to the woman he left behind. As the cracks in Claressa's empire started to widen, the finger-pointing began in earnest behind the scenes. Papoose is reportedly realizing that the public respect he enjoyed for over a decade was never actually his alone. It was a mutual respect that only existed because he was standing next to Remy Ma. Without her, he is being viewed by the industry as an opportunistic figure who tried to leverage a legendary marriage for a new promotional campaign. This realization has triggered an aggressive shift in his behavior, leading to reckless outbursts and desperate attempts to force Remy Ma into a public confrontation. He wants a reaction from Remy Ma so badly because a reaction means relevance. If Remy Ma reacts, the blogs explode, the algorithms push his name to the top of the feed, and his value to corporate sponsors temporarily goes back up. But Remy Ma is playing a completely different game of chess. She understands that every time she ignores his provocations, she deprives his new venture of the oxygen it needs to survive. This cold, calculated isolation has pushed Papoose into a corner where he is now acting out of pure panic. The panic has reached such a high level that anonymous sources are claiming Papoose has resorted to sending intense, multi-page messages to Remy Ma's legal and professional team. He is demanding that she address certain narratives publicly, threatening to release vintage audio files and unreleased music tracks if she continues to freeze him out of the industry loop. It is a completely chaotic strategy that shows just how deeply the loss of control is affecting him. He thought he could write the ending to this story, but he is realizing that Remy Ma holds the pen. Meanwhile, Claressa Shields is facing the reality that her crossover appeal has been severely compromised by this ongoing drama. The sports world respects her as a champion, but the entertainment industry views this entire situation as an unstable liability. The major film roles and lifestyle brand endorsements that were supposedly on the table for her have mysteriously vanished from the schedule. Her team is desperately trying to pivot her image back to pure athleticism, but it is incredibly difficult to sell a focused champion narrative when your co-star is constantly screaming into the void about his former marriage. The situation escalated dramatically over the weekend when a heated argument allegedly took place at a private listening suite in Atlanta. Production staff reported hearing Papoose shouting about how Remy Ma was actively working behind the scenes to block his distribution channels and ruin his industry relationships. He was completely convinced that Remy Ma was using her extensive network to ensure that no major platform would give his new projects any serious promotion. While there is no concrete evidence that Remy Ma is actually doing this, the mere fact that Papoose believes it shows how much power she still holds over his psyche. This brings us to the actual breakdown of the fabricated reports and leaked communications that have started circulating among top-tier media insiders. A series of highly confidential emails allegedly exchanged between Papoose's management and a prominent digital media network recently found their way into the hands of independent investigators. These documents reveal a desperate attempt by Papoose's team to pitch a series of exclusive exposé interviews designed to paint Remy Ma as the true villain of the separation. The pitch document specifically offered to share quote-unquote shocking details about the final months of their marriage in exchange for guaranteed prime-time coverage and a massive digital syndication fee. However, the media network ultimately turned down the proposal because they recognized that the public sentiment had already shifted completely in Remy Ma's favor. The executives realized that airing a bitter, one-sided takedown of a beloved culture icon would trigger an immediate viewer boycott and destroy their relationship with major music labels. This rejection was a massive psychological blow to Papoose, who suddenly realized that his currency in the entertainment market is worth almost nothing without the validation of his former partner. With his media options rapidly shrinking and Claressa's corporate backing falling apart, Papoose's strategy has completely degenerated into raw anger. He is no longer trying to look like the calm, collected mentor figure he played for so many years. The mask has slipped entirely, revealing a man who is terrified of becoming irrelevant in a fast-moving industry that does not stop for anyone. He is lashing out at everyone around him, but his primary target remains the woman who refuses to give him the time of day. The public reaction to these escalating rumors has been a mix of intense mockery and absolute disbelief across major social media platforms. Fans are actively dissecting every single old interview, looking for the exact moments where the foundation of this relationship began to rot. Comment sections are flooded with analysis of Papoose's recent timeline silence, with many pointing out that his lack of consistent posting is a clear sign of an ongoing identity crisis. People are openly laughing at the fact that a man who spent years giving relationship advice on television is now completely unable to manage his own public narrative. As the digital noise grows louder, the pressure on Claressa Shields to completely sever ties with Papoose is mounting from her own inner circle. Her longtime trainers, business managers, and close friends are reportedly begging her to walk away from this disaster before it permanently stains her historic sporting legacy. They are reminding her that she achieved greatness through hard work in the ring, not through messy reality television storylines and hip-hop divorce drama. But walking away is not as simple as it sounds, especially when financial contracts and shared assets are already tied up in the venture. This leaves the entire trio in an incredibly volatile position as we move into the next phase of this breakdown. Papoose is stuck in a self-made trap, Claressa is watching her mainstream dreams evaporate, and Remy Ma is continuing to observe the chaos from a safe, untouchable distance. The stage is set for a massive legal and financial confrontation that will force all of these parties to expose their real financial records and private agreements to the light of day. And as we transition directly into the specific legal threats and corporate investigations that are currently developing behind the scenes, the story takes an even darker turn. The corporate entities that were once rushing to back this newly formed partnership are now sending their legal teams to dismantle the remaining contracts. Law and Crime Network insiders are reporting that multiple formal compliance audits have been initiated into the joint shell companies established during the height of the Papoose and Claressa Shields alliance. These investigations are focusing heavily on promotional funds that were allegedly allocated for international press tours, but were instead used to maintain a lavish, heavily fabricated lifestyle designed for social media. When corporate money is mixed with personal damage control, regulatory agencies tend to step in, and that is exactly what is happening behind closed doors right now. Papoose is reportedly facing an intense financial inquiry from independent auditors who want to know exactly where the capital from the aborted album rollout went. The investment was granted based on the specific promise that his highly publicized separation would drive historic streaming numbers and generate massive public interest. Instead, the public grew completely exhausted by the messy narrative, causing the projected revenue streams to plummet to near zero. Because the financial returns did not match the aggressive projections, the corporate backers are now demanding a full return of their upfront capital, threatening a massive asset freeze if the funds are not accounted for immediately. This mounting financial pressure is the exact reason why Papoose's behind-the-scenes demands toward Remy Ma have turned completely volatile. According to leaked legal correspondence, Papoose is trying to claim that he is legally entitled to a massive percentage of Remy Ma's upcoming independent business ventures and television contracts. His argument is that he spent over a decade acting as her primary brand manager, and therefore any profit she makes in the post-separation era is partially his. It is a completely desperate legal reach that prominent entertainment attorneys are calling absolute nonsense, but it shows just how financially drained Papoose has become since Claressa's empire started to collapse. Remy Ma's legal team did not hesitate to respond to these threats with absolute corporate ruthlessness. They immediately filed a comprehensive cease and desist order, accompanied by a warning that any attempt to leak unreleased material or marital secrets would result in a multi-million-dollar defamation lawsuit. Her attorneys have made it abundantly clear that they have documented every single harassing text message and aggressive email Papoose has sent over the last 90 days. If Papoose continues to go off on her behind the scenes, Remy Ma's team is fully prepared to take those private messages directly to a federal judge, exposing his erratic behavior to the public record. Meanwhile, ABC News business analysts are pointing out that Claressa Shields is currently trapped in a massive corporate nightmare of her own. a prominent athletic apparel brand that was on the verge of signing her to a historic life-changing endorsement deal, has officially paused all negotiations indefinitely. The brand's internal marketing compliance board reportedly flagged the ongoing Papoose drama as a high-level reputational risk. Major global corporations do not want their premium athletic gear associated with late-night internet rants, bitter hip-hop divorces, and messy allegations of manipulation. Claressa is quickly finding out that the entertainment spotlight she wanted comes with a very heavy corporate tax. To make matters worse, rumors are swirling that a major sports network is considering dropping Claressa from an upcoming high-profile broadcasting gig. Network executives are reportedly worried that her upcoming promotional press conferences will be completely hijacked by gossip reporters asking questions about Papoose's public outbursts, rather than her athletic achievements. Her team is in a complete state of panic, trying to craft a public statement that distances her from the drama, without making her look like she is completely abandoning her partner in the middle of a crisis. It is a delicate public relations tightrope that is currently snapping under the weight of the controversy. As the corporate walls close in, the relationship between Papoose and Claressa has reportedly devolved into constant shouting matches regarding their shared financial liabilities. Sources close to the situation claim that Claressa's personal business managers are openly blaming Papoose for destroying her commercial viability outside of the boxing ring. They are pointing out that before he entered her camp, she was a celebrated national hero with a clean, undisputed brand. Now her name is permanently linked to a chaotic celebrity love triangle in the tabloids. Papoose, on the other hand, is reportedly accusing her team of failing to protect him from the harsh public backlash that has ruined his own industry standing. This internal warfare has caused a massive operational breakdown within their joint business ventures. Production on their highly publicized digital media platform has come to a complete standstill, with third-party vendors refusing to perform any more service until their outstanding invoices are cleared. Graphic designers, audio engineers, and video editors who were hired to build the infrastructure of Claressa's entertainment empire are walking away from the project due to non-payment. The entire operation is looking less like a modern media dynasty and more like a poorly managed financial scheme that is rapidly running out of gas. While this corporate structure collapses into pieces, public backlash against Papoose is reaching an all-time high on platforms like TMZ and major internet forums. Pop culture commentators are widely criticizing him for attempting to use a legendary female athlete as a rebound pawn in his psychological war against Remy Ma. The overarching consensus among music and sports fans alike is that Papoose completely underestimated the intelligence of the audience. People can see right through the carefully staged public appearances and the artificial support posts, and the internet is showing absolutely zero mercy in its daily coverage of the fallout. This intense public rejection has driven Papoose to make even more erratic moves behind the scenes. He has reportedly reached out to several underground media outlets, offering to do an unedited, completely unfiltered live stream interview where he promises to unmask the internal operations of Remy Ma's entire empire. He is looking for any platform that is desperate enough for views to let him air his grievances without any editorial pushback. However, even the tabloid blogs are hesitant to touch the story now, knowing that Remy Ma's legal team is ready to sue any platform that distributes unverified, defamatory claims into the public marketplace. The level of desperation in Papoose's camp became even more apparent when a draft of a simulated public apology letter was leaked to independent bloggers. The document, which was allegedly authored by a high-priced crisis management firm hired by Papoose, outlined a strategic plan for him to publicly take responsibility for the separation while subtly begging for the public's forgiveness. The goal was to launch a soft rebranding campaign that would allow him to safely exit the Claressa Shield situation without looking like the ultimate instigator. But before the plan could even be finalized, Papoose reportedly threw the draft away in a fit of rage, refusing to play the submissive role in his own narrative. As we look closely at the wreckage of this situation, it becomes clear that the fallout is no longer contained to just social media gossip. We are looking at potential contract breaches, impending civil litigation, and the complete destruction of two high-profile commercial brands. Claressa Shields is staring down the reality that her attempt to cross over into the entertainment world has cost her millions of dollars in potential corporate revenue. Papoose is forced to realize that his legendary status was entirely dependent on the woman he tried to erase, and his anger is hitting an absolute ceiling because he knows he cannot undo the damage. The corporate sponsors have made their move, the lawyers have drawn their battle lines, and the public has already issued its final verdict. The entire narrative of a new unstoppable empire has completely vanished, leaving behind nothing but a chaotic trail of broken promises and empty checkbooks. Papoose's wild outbursts are no longer working to manipulate the narrative. They are simply acting as a public confirmation of his own financial and personal defeat. Every single card he had left to play has been countered effortlessly by a legal team that was 10 steps ahead of him from the very beginning. This leaves the entire situation hanging by a single, incredibly thin thread as the pressure moves directly from the corporate boardrooms to the public arena. The transition from a quiet corporate collapse to an all-out public warfare is happening in real time, and the next steps are going to be even more damaging for everyone involved. As the legal threats turn into actual court filings and the hidden financial records are prepared for public exposure, the true depth of Papoose's desperation is about to be laid completely bare for the world to see. The final walls of resistance are officially falling down, and the ultimate destination of this entire saga is becoming crystal clear to everyone watching. We have arrived at the exact point in the timeline where the damage can no longer be hidden behind clever public relations statements or fast-paced gym training videos. The legal filings are turning into absolute public records, and the financial wreckage of this failed corporate venture is being laid bare for the entire world to analyze. Papoose is currently running completely out of options as his final attempts to force a reaction out of Remy Ma end in total failure. According to industry insiders who monitor the streaming platforms, his recent efforts to pitch a coded comeback track to major distribution labels were completely rejected by programmatic executives. The music industry has shifted entirely into a data-driven corporate environment where high-risk personal liability is automatically filtered out of premium playlists. Without major label distribution and without the cultural backing of a real hip-hop queen, his artistic voice is being pushed into the absolute margins of the digital space. At the exact same time, Claressa Shields is reportedly finalizing her official exit strategy from this entire entertainment nightmare. Sources close to her promotional team indicate that her primary athletic investors have presented her with an absolute ultimatum. She must either completely strip Papoose of any management titles within her athletic camp, or face the immediate cancellation of her upcoming international multi-fight broadcast contract. The corporate giants who fund global boxing matches have zero tolerance for outside personal static that takes away from the purity of sports entertainment. This corporate pressure has reportedly forced Claressa to make a definitive choice, and the choice does not look favorable for Papoose. Production assistants inside her Michigan training facility are claiming that Papoose's access to her inner corporate circle has been quietly revoked over the last 72 hours. His name is being systematically removed from her upcoming event credentials, and her security team has been given strict instructions to keep the personal drama completely away from the premium locker rooms. The crossover dream is officially dead, and she is returning to the single thing that made her a household name in the first place. This absolute rejection from Claressa's camp is exactly what has sent Papoose into an absolute tailspin of raw public panic. He is finding himself isolated on an island of his own making, with no corporate backing from the sports world and zero respect left in the hip-hop community. His immediate response has been to escalate his behind-the-scenes digital attacks against Remy Ma's circle, but the strategy is backfiring beautifully. Every single aggressive message he sends is simply added to the legal discovery files that Remy Ma's high-priced attorneys are preparing for an impending courtroom showdown. Remy Ma, meanwhile, is continuing to demonstrate exactly why she is considered an absolute tactical genius in the game of public perception. She has completely skipped the messy middle chapters of this reality television drama and moved straight to the final victory lap. While Papoose is screaming into empty boardrooms, Remy Ma is currently being spotted at exclusive, high-level business summits in New York and Paris. She is closing major independent production deals that will give her absolute creative control over her own life story, completely bypassing the traditional media networks that tried to exploit her personal life. The contrast between their two realities is currently generating a massive wave of viral commentary across the entire digital landscape. Pop culture fans are creating massive threads analyzing the complete brilliance of her calculated silence. The general public has come to realize that by refusing to give Papoose a single public word, she has essentially starved his entire promotional machine of its currency. You cannot have a high-stakes celebrity feud when one side completely treats your existence like an absolute ghost. As the realization of his permanent defeat sinks in, Papoose is reportedly attempting one last desperate shift in his public narrative. He is quietly preparing to release a self-funded, independent documentary short through his personal streaming channels. The project is being described by production interns as a highly emotional, curated look at his side of the marriage history, filled with vintage family footage and defensive commentary. He is hoping that by appealing directly to the nostalgia of old-school hip-hop fans, he can generate enough grassroots sympathy to save his reputation from complete destruction. However, digital marketing analysts are already predicting that this independent move will be the absolute final nail in his professional coffin. The modern internet audience has become incredibly sophisticated, and they can spot a desperate, one-sided narrative from a mile away. Any attempt to monetize the private history of his marriage after trying to build a corporate empire with another woman will be viewed as absolute hypocrisy. The comment sections are already loaded and waiting to tear the project apart the exact second the upload button is pressed. The corporate sponsors who once thought they could use this love triangle to sell premium lifestyle products have officially vanished from the arena. They have left Papoose and Claressa to pick up the financial pieces of a highly expensive promotional campaign that yielded absolutely zero return on investment. The high-end cars, the rented luxury penthouses, and the artificial red carpet entourages are all being systematically liquidated to pay off the massive debt accumulated during their short-lived media partnership. This brings the entire chaotic narrative to its natural, inevitable conclusion in the court of public opinion. The story that began with a massive display of corporate power and high-profile international travel has devolved into a quiet, humiliating retreat. Claressa Shields is returning to the boxing ring to salvage what is left of her athletic legacy, stripped of her Hollywood crossover ambitions. Papoose is left holding a broken script with no co-star, no corporate backing, and no path back to the legendary status he so casually threw away. And standing completely untouched at the very top of the wreckage is Remy Ma. She did not have to write a single diss track, she did not have to do a single crying interview on a podcast, and she did not have to lower her brand to match the energy of her detractors. She simply stood her ground, allowed the fake empire to run out of financial oxygen, and walked through the chaos with her crown completely intact. The legend remains completely secure, while the temporary spotlight has burned out exactly like we predicted it would. The final domino has officially fallen, the last corporate check has cleared, and the ultimate truth of this situation is now etched into pop culture history forever. The lesson here is incredibly clear to anyone who aspires to manipulate the public narrative for personal gain. You can try to rewrite the script, you can try to rent a new spotlight, and you can try to build a new empire on top of a legend's sacrifice. But at the end of the day, real legacy cannot be manufactured by a crisis management firm, and it cannot be bought with corporate sponsorship money. Papoose is officially out of time, Claressa Shields has officially exited the entertainment stadium, and Remy Ma is sitting completely alone at the absolute top of the industry matrix. The transition from a chaotic public scandal to an absolute historic victory is completely finalized. Every single move has played out exactly like the insiders whispered behind closed doors, leaving the audience with a front-row seat to the ultimate masterclass in strategic survival. The saga is officially closed, the cameras are finally turning off, and only one queen is left standing in the light. That is exactly how the deck clears when you try to play chess with a real industry legend. The fake narrative has officially dissolved, the corporate money has walked out the door, and the truth is standing completely bare for everyone to see. But now I want to hear directly from you. Do you think Papoose ever stands a chance of recovering his reputation after this absolute disaster? Will Claressa Shields be able to successfully scrub this messy chapter from her historic athletic brand? Or is her mainstream appeal permanently damaged? And what about Remy Ma? Is this the absolute greatest display of strategic silence we have ever witnessed in pop culture history? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below because the conversation is already exploding down there. If you want to stay 10 steps ahead of every single upcoming leak, every hidden court document, and every quiet industry move before it hits the mainstream blogs. You already know exactly what to do. Hit that subscribe button right now, smash the like button on this video, and share this link directly with your group chat. Stay locked into this channel because the fallout from this situation is far from over, and we will be right here to break down every single piece of the wreckage. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.